I wanted to ask, just in terms of the second half of that game and the way you guys kind of it seemed like you unleashed, a little bit of, getting after the quarterback, bringing pressures, but also seemed to be playing discipline too. Like, how well did you feel like the whole front seven, I guess, played in the second half of that game?
I thought we played well. I really thought, after probably that third drive, I think the first drive, 2, 3, I thought we started to settle in. And so, I thought the whole team as a whole played pretty disciplined throughout the game. We knew it would be that type of football game. We knew it would be an emotional team. But we've proven through most of the year that we can handle that atmosphere and that type of environment. We've been through a lot. We put them through a lot. And I thought our guys responded to all situations. Even after that safety when, I looked those guys in the eyes as they were about to take the field, and they were ready for the moment. And there was no head down. It was just all about, this is a long football game. We got to go out there and get stops.
Anything else? Let's go back to Ira.
Jared had some moments. I mean, we've seen him have great moments before, but it seemed like almost like he was taking over that game by himself at some points. Just how impressed were you with his play?
Yeah, I mean, big-time players make big-time plays in those type of games, and Jared proved it. And, I mean, that one sack that he made with the offensive tackle is a pretty impressive play. We've seen him do that, a number of times. He's just so powerful. And when you mix his get-off and his explosiveness, it's hard. I mean, it's pretty simple to understand. If you're worried about somebody running around you, you got to speed up. In order to speed up, you get on your heels. Then when somebody that powerful puts his foot in the ground and goes to power, I mean, that's a tough thing to deal with. And I think what helped us, especially some of those sacks late, we got them in a 2-possession game, and our guys were able to pin their ears back. We were able to do some things coverage-wise to make them hold the ball a little bit longer, and I think that's when that showed up. He actually had that caused fumble. Unfortunately, it ricocheted off of the quarterback's knee and rolled out of bounds. But I thought we did a better job of tackling the ball too. We had 2 balls on the ground. We had a chance at maybe another pick too. So, all those things are starting to mount up as the season goes.
Chris?
2 things about Akeem Dent. One, his overall play, how impressive was it, especially for a guy who's kind of nearing the end? And secondly, the penalty called on him, how frustrating was it in that moment, in that play that he had made?
I thought Akeem played outstanding. We've seen it throughout his career, when balls have broken, his ability to make some one-on-one plays. I think he's wanted to put a game like that together. I thought his practices the last 5 or 6 weeks have been really good. I know he knows the clock's running out on his time here as a Seminole, and just to see him on that environment, on that stage, against some really talented running backs. But what happens when you play really talented backs is you need really talented players too, and Akeem's one of those. But when his number was called, that's one of those things when you're playing, defense. Everybody talks about one-on-ones and ability to make some plays. But when you're on a good defense and balls are in space and the whole crowd thinks this is a good play, and then you got a free defensive player and he goes and gets the guy down and we go to the next play, it takes a lot of momentum away from that offense. And I thought Akeem showed that on 3 or 4 independent occasions. So I thought he played really well. Regarding the sack that he had to knock them deep in a field goal, it was the only touchdown they had was when they gave him another life. But, I thought that was a well-timed pressure. It was really hit by him. And what I love, though, is when it didn't work out and they gave him the first down and goal, you didn't see a lot of body language from him. You saw some body language from other people, but you didn't see any from Akeem. And I thought that showed a lot of maturity for him to go back and, try to get a stop there. Unfortunately, they got in the end zone. But, he's become a really good blitzer. I think, you pair him with Shai and what we've done at that position over the last couple of years of entering those guys into the box and in the rush. I think Akeem's really taken those steps.
Obviously, the sacks that did count, Patrick Payton had a couple of them, and especially I think 2 of them came on that. Both of them came on that one of the second to last drive. Just how much does that open up when he's able to be as effective as he was in that game. For Jared, for Braden, who had, I think, a half a sack or one full sack, how much does it open up for everyone else when both your edges are playing that well?
Well, I think when you look at the totality of the season, because when you get to the end of the year, there's a lot of plays that offenses need to dig through, just like we have to dig through as you're planning for the next game. And when you have guys like Kalen DeLoach that have had good sack numbers, you've got to deal with Braden Fisk. We got Malcolm Ray has done a good job. Josh Farmer has gotten in the backfield with some number of sacks. And then you have the Verse, and then you have Patrick, but then you have the ability to have Akeem Dent coming off the edge or Shaheem. I think it just offers a lot of variety, and I think that's important when you're playing defense. Obviously Jared's gotten a lot of attention. Patrick has the ability to win all of his one-on-ones, and we have a number of defensive linemen, linebackers, and DBs that can do that. I think ideally that's how you try to put your defense together, that you can come from different places, but then you have the ability to win multiple one-on-ones, and I think you saw that Saturday night, especially when it became that two-possession game at the end of the game, and it was an obvious throwdown. You want to make that where we're really the ones on offense.
I'm sure, unfortunately, you still remember the impact Ricky Pearsall made in last year's game for Florida. Obviously different.
In the first half?
Yeah, in the first half, yes. And it obviously very different. This year only had one catch. I think Yale kept him below. He was on pace for a 1,000-yard season. I guess, what's that speak to about? I mean, I think he lines up in the slot a lot. And so I know Jerry and Greedy, and I know they did similar with Xavier Restrepo a few weeks before, just the high level they've played at and what that does for the whole secondary.
Yeah, I mean, I thought our pass defense was really good. As a totality, I thought we played good football in that game. I mean, we were going to need, in that as that game got going, we knew we would need the defense, just like you do all the time, right? It's no secret to play really good at the end of the season. You better be playing really good defense. And I think when you take receivers away, a lot of attention goes to the guy lined up over them, which should. I thought Jarian did a great job. I thought Greedy gave us really good snaps. But it's a group effort. It's a group effort with the front, with the back end, and I thought we did a really good job of really limiting any explosive plays that they would had. The things that you don't see is the play designs that they have for him, and you see a safety on top, you see a corner, Ventrell, Renardo, or AZ in a bracket form, and there's really no place to go with the football. And especially when you play a young quarterback, I'm sure all week they're taught about, as much as you're trying to be aggressive probably on offense, you're still coaching the bad stuff. Hey, don't throw the ball when you get this look. Don't throw the ball when you get that look. So, you get scared of trying to put that ball in there. I thought we gave them a lot of those pictures. Credit to our players for understanding. They got the back involved in the pass game early. So, our players adjusted that pretty well. And, it allowed for some of the pressures to show up. And then the back started staying a little bit more. And we're allowed to go back to a little bit of coverage. So, I thought it was just a good game overall. And we needed that group to play well. And I thought they did.
Jerry?
Look ahead to Louisville. What do you see in that offense and keys for preparation this week?
Yeah, they're playing a championship game for a reason, and I think it starts, they got a real veteran quarterback that Coach Brahm had a history with. They have two running backs that, obviously you got to give a credit to the offensive line because they've created some space, but they've been dominant running the football. And, you look at all the games that they, in the games that they weren't able to run the football, they were able to throw the football. So they have balance. But I think if you ask them, that balance has been created through the run game, and I think their action throws off of the run are really good. I think you couldn't compare them a little bit to Florida from a standpoint of, I think they do a really good job. It's, the second head coach that's calling the offense that we played in the last 2 weeks, and you see the play designs. There's a reason they're in those positions, because you see a lot of the motions, you see a lot of the run actions designed to be coherent with the pass game. And I think that's what good offensive play design does. And then they have the screen game that they throw off of it. There's some under center actions that have screens off of it. And, I think when you have two good running backs and you're able to block well and play as one up front, you got a veteran quarterback, and then you add a couple of playmakers on the perimeter, that's what a championship offense starts to look like, and that's why they're in the game.
Your last three D1 opponents were all freshman quarterbacks. One was making his first start, one was making his second start, the Pitt kid, third start, fourth start. Now you're facing a sixth-year quarterback. Does it change? I mean, I know that's probably a dumb question. I apologize. Does it change the way you coordinate a defense, knowing you're not going to probably show this guy anything he hasn't seen, and you maybe can't rattle a sixth-year guy like you could a kid making his first or second start?
Well, we've rattled some veteran guys before, and I think it's important to do that this week. I think getting pressure on him, I think when you can run the ball well, sixth-year or redshirt freshman or true freshman, it's going to help that player significantly. There are things that we've planned to be in this game. And I think when you're playing championship level football and you're playing this late in the season, you're going to be good at the things you do, but you're always building for the next step. And I think it's important. We've been working on some things that we've had for a while, and you're not waiting anymore to use those things. And I think that's important as you get towards the end of the season. You don't redesign, okay, now we're going to change everything. You don't do that. But when you're on a good team, you can work ahead while game planning for other things. And you may not always know the opponent that you'll be playing late in the season, but you can play some offense on defense. And I think it's important that you do that throughout the year. That's why we have those Sunday practices too. And if you play well the week before, you have less corrections to really address that time. And you can move ahead and you can start saying, okay, these are plays that we have off of these calls or pressures we have off of these looks. And you keep working those things. So, hopefully, on paper, and when you've played so many games as he's played, yes, you've seen a lot of different football, but hopefully our execution, the speed that we do those pictures, and maybe some things he hasn't seen from us, hopefully those things make it difficult for him to play faster, and hopefully that's what shows up Saturday.
Two more.
You weren't here when Akeem got here, but his career's been probably not what he expected as a big time. He was as big a time recruit as he could have been. Changing positions, going through some different things. How much has he grown as a player in terms of preparation and all the things that showed up on Saturday?
Akeem's always been a very mature person. He handles himself well in the classroom, off the field. He's always been really loved by his teammates. That's been the consistent. Obviously he went through a little bit of a position change early in his career here, but he went through a bunch of injuries too. And, there was, last year in that Florida game, he couldn't play, and he's been battling injuries throughout, even at the beginning of the year this year. And so he's finally, yes, I think he's playing his best football now. That's the cliche thing to say. But I think it's just a product of who he's been throughout the years. I don't think it's just, oh, wow, he's really good now. I think everything's caught up to him. And I think all the things he's done for the last 4 or 5 years here has come to a pinnacle for him to play his best football, here at the end. And there wasn't anybody. Obviously, I was excited for everybody involved in the program, the way that game ended and the way the season has gone. But I had a special place in my heart for Akeem, just to see the smile on his face, because he was proud of himself, because he knows how far he's had to come, both to become healthy, to have those opportunities show up in a game of that magnitude. And now, a game like that will live forever for him. And I know, going into this championship week, this is a big week for all of us. But I'm excited about the momentum he's created for himself.
Jordan?
Coach, they started off the game 5 for 6 on third down. They were 2 for 10 the rest of the way. Was there a specific adjustment, or like you said earlier, it was just about the defense settling down?
I think early in those first couple drives, they got in a few of the unbalanced sets, and it's one of those things, you walk through them even on Saturday morning, you go through on Tuesday, and just like I talked to Corey a little bit about, there may be something that you're doing that's a little bit of a tweak, but the speed of the game, the energy of the game, all of a sudden they don't see it super clearly. So in that early drive, we're trying to get it right during the drive, and it wasn't really clean. One of the third downs they hit was just a one-on-one on the backside, and something that we should have played better, but it happens. And they did a good job. That was a team that was scoring a good amount of points. They were able to run the ball really well on a lot of good teams, and I thought our guys just really settled in, and it's important. We have a mature group, so what does that mean? Emotionally, when you get on the sidelines, you're not trying to get them calmed down or get them in the right mindset to be able to go play. You can really focus on, all right, this is what's happening, and this is what we've worked on. Remember, this is how we're playing. Or, hey, we weren't prepared for this, but this is what they're doing. This is how we got to respond to it. This is how we're going to play it. Everybody on the same page? And then they communicate to each other, and then we go and play. And I think you just see that, and hopefully you can make those adjustments, play by play. Sometimes it goes series by series, and I think our guys are mature enough, and that goes back to just the summer. We've been trying to challenge these guys year round, and they've answered the bell each time we've done it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. See y'all. See you guys. You too.